So most likely you're watching this video because you're considering a career selling insurance. And perhaps you've been on one of these opportunity meetings where it seems like they're more interested in Kool-Aid drinking and cult stuff than actually selling insurance. If this has been your experience, or you're afraid that might be your experience if you go to one of these opportunities, you've found the right video. What we'll be talking about today are the 3 ways to avoid working for a terrible insurance agency. Look, y'all, the insurance business is awesome. There's so much money to be made while actually helping people with a good product. But boy, the options out there for agencies are wanting. There just is a lot of that MLM type of mentality in this business, and it's imperative that you work through some of the math, some of the processes on your own first before you join the first agency that wants you, so that you can have a more clear understanding of what's important in this business, so you can give yourself the best opportunity for success. One thing I'll say before we jump in and start describing those 3 ways to avoid joining a bad agency is to understand that the vast majority of agents fail this business. I would say at least 90% of agents fail out of selling insurance, and you guys have to look at this honestly. You don't have the odds in your favor for success. So that's why it's important to watch this entire video to understand the full perspective so that you can make a good decision on joining a good agency that aligns with your goals to give yourself the best chances of success. Real quick, my name is David DeFord. I own DeFord Insurance Group. I do train and recruit agents nationally since 2013 in the niches of final expense life insurance, Medicare insurance, annuities, as well as health insurance. And wherever you are in your journey, if you'd like to take a look at how my agency works, it's kind of a remote agency. You can sell face-to-face or over the phone. You don't have to be located in any particular state. I recruit nationally. You can go to daviddeford.com/FAQ to learn more. Number 1, figure out what you want out of the industry. So this is probably the most important step. Before you jump in and join the first agency that wows you with how incredible they are, you need to slow down, do your due diligence, and think about what is in this business of selling insurance and find the right product, market, and approach that best suits your personality. So what I'm going to talk about here very briefly are some of the variables you need to give some time and consideration to think about in order to determine where you best fit. So number 1 is, what type of product should you sell? Okay, there's a lot of different insurance products, and typically the best agents focus on one particular product to start with. They become masters of one, not a jack of all trades. So for example, we at DeFord Insurance Group stream an agent into one particular product, even though we teach on multiple different platforms, because we want to give you the best chances of success. Also, part of that process of which product to select is, do you like that particular market that product is associated with? For example, final expense, Medicare associated with baby boomers, retirees, people at a minimum of 50 or older. And if you're not a fan of working older Americans, chances are the final expense and Medicare market's not going to be right for you. Point being is, you got to do your due diligence on exploring the product and the market before you join any agency, because most agencies focus on a particular segment of Americans, not everybody in general. So you got to make sure there's an alignment of what it is that you think would do well for you and match with your personality versus what the agency actually serves. Another thing you got to decide is, do you want to sell in person or remotely? So since coronavirus and the lockdowns occurred, there's been a big push on the remote virtual telesales side of selling insurance, and not all agencies train that. For example, at DeFord Insurance Group, we train face-to-face and telesales, but we don't train kind of a remote Zoom-based training, because in our model that just doesn't work. But if you're insistent on doing a virtual Zoom-based training, it may make sense to join another organization instead. Point being, figure out what it is that your calling is. Do you like selling in person? Do you like seeing people? Would you rather be at your own home or in a call center and calling people over the phone or doing virtual appointments? Find out what you want to do, and again, goal align, and find the agency that trains on that particular strategy. Another thing you have to decide is, do you want to start this business part-time or full-time? You can absolutely start this business part-time. I did in 2011 in the final expense business. I had a personal training gym. I wasn't ready to give it up, but I wanted to get into the insurance business, and I did part-time for 6 months before going full-time. But not all agencies will accept part-timers. So again, figure out, do you want to leave your job? Are you ready to take the full plunge? If you are, great. If not, make sure in your process of interviewing your agency that they accept a part-time agent. And the last thing here is figuring out, do you want to join an agency that's focused on development of the agent, you, when it comes to your sales and marketing skill set, Or do you want to join an agency that's going to teach you more of an MLM strategy, where you recruit agents more so than just learn how to sell? Now, my critique has always been anti-MLM. I'm not a believer in it whatsoever because it kind of puts the cart before the horse. Why would somebody want to work with you if you have no skill set into teaching them? It's a great way to lose a lot of prospects or agents joining that would otherwise be good selections, but because you don't have the experience and wisdom, why would a good agent stick with you? So, but some people do like the MLM strategy, and it does work for a limited number of people. So if you're stuck on that process, again, joining my agency, for example, wouldn't be a good fit because we don't do that whatsoever. We train you and develop you to become a top producer, to focus on the agent development first. And then once you master that, then we open the availability and ability to then sell or recruit agents to sell for you. So again, decide what's most important. Do you want to focus on selling and being a good agent first, or do you want to get right into the MLM recruiting side of the thing? You got to make that distinction for yourself and join the agency that supports that model. Step number 2, interview the agency. Okay, so after you've done your due diligence, you figured out all the details we talked about just a moment ago, the next step is you have to interview the agency. Now, this may seem a little odd. Don't you normally just have the agency interview you, where they ask you the questions and you're kind of in the hot seat? Well, that will probably happen to an extent in most agencies, where you'll be kind of grilled to see if you're a good fit. But likewise, the tables have to be turned. This is an unusual business. You see, you're not really going to be an employee in most capacities. You're going to be a 1099 sole proprietor. So this is more of a partnership that you're going to have with your agency as opposed to an employer-employee relationship. So what you got to do, just as much as they interview you, you have to interview them. You've got to put them in the hot seat, because there are a lot of agencies out there that would love to recruit you. And because we know that not all agencies are created equal, you need to make sure you ask pointed questions, which I'll get to in a second, to make sure that they are a good fit and ensure how they address your questions are respectful and are collaborative in a way that you can see as being a long-term relationship. So a couple of questions I like to ask. Why should I go with you versus another organization? What makes you special? Now, again, this is putting the agency on the spot. Again, there's choices for you out there, guys. Why should you commit your resources and time to a particular agency? They should be able to answer that, again, without any arrogance or any ego. They should be able to explain, well, here's where we stand in the market. Here's what a good agent would be a good match for us. Here's what we're looking for, and here's how we're different. And again, they should be able to say this in a way that's respectful, but if they yell at you or get angry at you or dare you question their authority, like, that is a bad sign that these people are high in their own supply, and you should probably consider looking at another agency instead. How does prospecting and leads work? So this is an important question, because you may not want to do cold calling. You may not want to ask your friends and family like the traditional MLM method to come up with prospects. And you may want to do something like what we do at DeFord Insurance Group, which is source paid leads where you pay for them, but people who have expressed interest in a particular product you're selling. A lot of agencies do the first two methods. They ask you the cold call, or they ask you to talk to your friends and family, and just a lot of people aren't up to that. So you make sure you understand their prospecting strategy and make sure it aligns with you personally, what you want to achieve and what you want to accomplish. Number 3, talk to 3 successful agents. So this is imperative. A lot of agents kind of get scared asking this question, but I have agents ask me this weekly, and I'm glad they do, because I'm happy to show them that I'm not afraid to show them examples of people who have been in my system before they were, that have been successful in the business. So I think any organization that you look about joining is, again, they're claiming they're successful. They claim they do this and they claim they do that. Well, I want to talk to actual agents who have experienced success using their protocol. And any agency that's in the recruiting business of bringing agents on like you to become top producers should be able to say, yeah, here's 3 emails, here's 3 phone numbers. Do whatever you want to, talk to these people, get an idea of how they feel for you so that you can judge for yourself based on their third-party experience if you joining is a good fit. If they push back against you, if they try to like hem and haw about the stuff, they either don't have the street cred that they say they've got, or they're worried about what their people will say for them, and that does not bode well. Again, that should tell you everything you need to know about them. For example, I was looking at recruiting an Instagram influencer to get out there and basically prospect for me cold on Instagram. And when I asked the gentleman for 3 references of people who were happy with his work, he said, oh, that's private information. I can't share that. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to do business with you. Why? Because if you can't bring that up, it doesn't matter how hot of a talker you are, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. So bottom line, when you're looking at an agency, insist that if you're going to join, you just talk to a couple of agents that have had success. Again, nobody should push back against you for making that request. That is a valid request because you're not an employee in most cases in this business, you're a partner. And if you're going to do business with a partner on a partnership basis, you need to know that this system they claim they have that does well actually works in reality. Number 3, gotcha clauses. So again, one of the things you need to know going into this business that you're probably unaware of is there are contractual issues with certain organizations with how they look at your business and your relationship with them. You can join what seemingly is a good agency, but be caught up in all sorts of gotcha clauses that prevents you from maximizing your income and leading a business in the way that you foresee you want it to be led in. For example, there's some questions you should be asking of any agency that you join. For example, are you vested? What vested means is that you own your book of business. When you write a piece of business, it's yours. You continue to get paid on that business, and you can continue to do business with that client. There are many organizations out there that limit your ownership of business for several years. One in particular takes 10 full years before you're fully vested. And this is all crazy because all the while you're buying leads, you are finding prospects, you're closing them, you're the cornerstone of the relationship, not the agency. And they have the gall to say contractually that you don't own the business and that if you leave the agency within that vesting period of time, you won't continually get paid. So this is not good in the business, and I'm glad to say a lot of organizations have dropped these clauses because of their greed getting in the way of success. But you need to make sure you ask the agency, do I own my book of business? Am I vested? Also, you need to figure out who pays you. So you want to make sure that you're paid directly from the carriers, not directly from the agency, just because that muddies the water in actually getting you your payments. Also, it implies that you don't own your book of business, that it actually is being owned by the agency above you, and that you're probably not vested. So make sure that you're paid directly from the carrier. And the last thing here is not so much a contractual issue, but it's just an issue of doing business with a lot of these organizations that I've seen kind of really manifest over the last couple of years are these mass recruiting organizations that have realized there's money to be made in not just selling policies, but monetizing the insurance agent, even if they don't make a policy sale. So in other words, a lot of agencies out there, they will make money on you in other ways, even if you don't go out there and make sales. And maybe this is a good way to maximize shareholder value or corporate profits, but to me, at some level, there's just something profoundly wrong about a company benefiting off of the back of you, because if they can't deliver on their word and help you become a top producer and still financially profit to the tune of 6-7 figures of some of these organizations, that just doesn't seem right. It just sounds like the well is poison. I'll give you a couple of examples. There are organizations out there that insist that you pay them to train them. Look, I never did that. I could. So what that means is, as a part of joining their agency, you have to shuffle over a certain amount of money to pay for their training. And I never liked the idea of that because, again, I look at this business like, hey, we're going to be partners together. I'm going to give you my entire blueprint of success that if you take it and I deliver on it, you're going to do business with me. You're going to make money. You're going to make sales. And I'm going to profit a small portion above what you make in terms of what we call overrides for the benefit of helping you along the way to get to that point. There are other organizations that sell crappy leads, generated leads that are very low quality, or they recycle leads over and over again, and they mark them up and make a profit on those leads. And there are organizations that make probably millions of dollars a month, insisting that these leads are the cat's meow, this is the best leads you've ever seen, when they're utter trash and garbage. But they profit on pushing those leads to you and creating an incredible source of revenue and income for the company. Again, it's good for the company, but is it good for you as an agent? I would argue it's not. And these are the things you got to be aware of. When they incessantly push an internal vendor inside of them, there's probably a profit motive in why they do that, not necessarily related to the close of the sale of the policy of the insurance. What's the ideal relationship then? Again, the way I've just always seen the business myself as an agency owner is I only want to win when you win. As an agent, winning is when you close a sale, right? That's when you make a commission from the proceeds of a policy sale. Well, that's winning for me too. I don't personally, as an agency, make money till you make a sale. So that means everything that I do is biased to how can I take these agents from point A of getting started to point B of closing an insurance sale. So that keeps me honest. It keeps me directed on what's best for the agent to get them successful. And I think that's a much more harmonious relationship where the goals are truly aligned. Okay, guys, in summary, look, the insurance business is awesome. There's such a great opportunity financially. There's such a great opportunity to help people. But the problem is there's not very much clarity in many cases on which agencies are going to be best suited. This is why the steps I've detailed in this video is so critical, because you need to do your due diligence and slow down this process of getting started to make sure whomever it is that you choose to do business with is best reflected in your goals and your personal desires and what you want out of this business. So I hope you take these trainings to heart and implement them, because you want to be in this business long-term, guys. It is absolutely worth it. I'm so glad I stumbled across this business. If you'd like to learn more about DeFord Insurance Group, go to daviddeford.com/FAQ, and thanks so much for watching. See you.